Hey there, John here again, and today we have a guest on our channel. We have Aaron. Aaron Nichols is from Exact Solar, and Exact Solar is one of the top solar installation companies in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Highly awarded. They've got massive number of Google reviews, and when I found them a year back, I thought this is one company I should work with. And one of the first people I met there was Aaron. Say hi, Aaron.
Hi. Hello, John's audience. Hello. It is very nice to be here today, John. Thank you for having me on your channel.
Hey, you're most welcome. So, Aaron looks after marketing and advocacy at Exact Solar, and that itself tells you something about Exact Solar. That this is a company that takes its mission to the people it serves very seriously. You have somebody talented like Aaron looking after it full time, and he's a keen observer of the solar market. And today I thought we'll talk with Aaron and we'll chat about what the situation in the market is like.
Okay, sounds great.
So, Aaron, let me start out with, there's been a spate of bad news in the solar market, right? A lot of these big companies, Sunpower is the last one, which we got news of going belly up, and
Titan as well.
Titan, these are behemoths of solar, and they've gone out of business. So what exactly is going on? What do you think is happening in the market?
John, from our perspective, what we're seeing is just a lack of transparency and some irresponsible growth. And we don't like to disparage specific competitors. And I think it is appropriate given that Sunpower and Titan have both filed for bankruptcy. But when we're talking about companies that have encouraged dishonest models where you're pushing salespeople to sign people up for much longer payback periods than they should be on, or encouraging just dishonest business practices, and you're trying to grow at any cost. When you're a publicly traded company bundling and selling loans as security-backed assets, and some of those people didn't even know they were on loans.
Oh, awesome.
You're obviously setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And we would absolutely hate to scare anyone away from going solar. But if you do want to look at some of the business practices that we're talking about, we've written an article on exactsolar.com. And you can also look up a 4-part series by a woman named Alana Samuels in Time magazine, which we used to research that piece I just referred to. So
interesting.
We absolutely don't want to scare anyone away from going solar, but it's very important to do your research and make sure you're going with a reputable local company when you decide to make this decision.
Right. And to add to Aaron's point, I've been following solar for a while now, and the problem that our industry has faced is there's this, massive pressure to grow, and we have, with distributed architecture through which this is bought to consumers in the country, there are a lot of layers which do not have enough oversight on them, and you end up having horror stories of solar being sold to 85-year-old pensioners without them knowing about it, having loans in their names. And this has kind of been the bane of the industry. And some of these companies, they actually might be good news for the industry as a whole, because we're learning right now that this doesn't work, and we should avoid it, and we should do things the right way. And
well, Adam, what's funny, John, too.
Yeah.
My first job in the solar industry, I lasted 1 week on door to door.
On door to door.
And I feel like everything I've done since then, it's almost like I'm doing penance for my sins.
That's funny. There are a lot of companies who are doing this right, and shout out to all of them. But if this business is done in an ethical manner, there are so many benefits to solar that it's a no-brainer. We just don't have to get in this additional dishonesty layer on top, or obfuscation and stuff like that. What kind of a solar company should you look for, Aaron? I mean, how does a homeowner really find if they got a company which works and does well for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you mentioned the reason that you wanted to work with Exact is because we had more than 400 5-star reviews. We've also been around for 19 years. So one thing is, it's important to go local. local is probably your first step, because when we're looking at companies like Sunpower, like Titan, and they were expanding so fast, once they grew past a certain point and they were out of state, they were using subcontractors for their sales and everything, and then they weren't able to keep up with their service agreements because they had sold systems so fast. It's important to go with someone who's local. If you go with a local company, they're going to have relationships with your power company. They're going to have relationships in your community, and they're going to know how to get things done effectively. A local company is also going to be a lot more transparent, and they're going to be much more invested in keeping you happy than a large out-of-state company, because they're a small business, and their staying in business depends on the word of their customer.
And my experience has been that if you're working with a company that's ethically focused, who wants to look after their customers, and has the means and the financial strength to last the long term, that's a good recipe for a solar company. The top companies in solar today are companies like Exact Solar, who are local, who do very well, and there are some decent large installers too who are customer focused. So what are the red flags you should really be looking out for when you are evaluating, going solar for the first time?
I think if you've ever had someone knock on your door and try to sell you solar, the scripts that they use are full of red flags. The first one being the government is paying for solar panels in your area. You'll also see that on Instagram ads, on Facebook ads. Sometimes you'll see that in articles. Those are usually backed up by a lot of advertising money, and they're just trying to splash that message out. But that is never true. The government is not paying for solar panels in your area. The government will offer you a 30% tax credit under the Inflation Reduction Act. But they're not going to write you a check for solar panels.
Correct.
They'll also use very opaque language when it comes to signing up for the loan. And they're going to say, the government is paying for solar panels in your area. There's no money down. We're going to replace your energy bill with a bill that's $10 less that never goes up, which sounds good. It's a good sales pitch. But what that ends up meaning is that they extend the payback period for much longer than it should be. And then you pay off that loan for a really long time. There was something in that Titan story that Alana Samuels wrote in Time magazine where she actually had cited multiple examples of salespeople signing up for multiple loans to pay for the same system through different companies. And in some cases, those people didn't even sign to agree to those loans. The signature went through an email address that was provided by the company. So, you should, I think the most important thing is, this is a very big decision. You're committing to 25 to 30 years of power generation on your home, and it's a good decision. But you should make sure that you do the due diligence, that you don't rush into it, that you don't just agree to it because someone knocked on your door.
How do you make sure your installations proceed as smoothly as possible with the least amount of hiccups?
To start with, going back, making sure that the company you're going with has local relationships. If they have years of established relationships with the power company, they know the process, they know how to get your paperwork through. If they have relationships with the people in your township, they know how to push the paperwork through there as well. And you should always ask, is every aspect of my project going to be handled in-house? There are certain companies that will sell a system from several states away, and they don't even have a boots on the ground presence in your state, and they will subcontract out the installation. So you don't quite know what you're getting. You don't know if they're going to assure the same quality they guaranteed you, or if it's just a subcontractor who's cranking out jobs that have been sold by a different company. The reason it's important to have everything in-house is because that company can guarantee quality, and they can guarantee every aspect of the process. We've heard some really interesting stories. I mean, I've been in the solar industry only a couple of years, but it's coming out of this kind of Wild West phase and starting to be much more regulated and honest. But I've heard stories of solar companies outsourcing the design of systems to places like the Philippines, and then they outsource the subcontracting, and they never do a site visit. So it's just all satellite imagery on a house until the day that the system is installed.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, so you want to make sure that you're working with a reputable local company that has good relationships in your community, that knows how to get projects through, and that is going to guarantee the quality that you deserve.
Correct. And just to bring you up to speed, companies like Exact Solar and others who are good at this, they carry out site surveys as and when a customer decides to go solar. This involves a visit to your home, maybe a flyover by a drone to look at your roof, essentially looking at everything inside your home, from your electric panels to your wiring to your roof. Make sure that you have a successful install. So things to look out for.
Yeah.
And how does a company like Exact Solar ensure that customers understand their solar system's performance and payback period?
Yeah. A lot of people may not know what payback period means. Okay, so if you're new to John's channel, you're new to the solar world, the payback period is the amount of time it takes for the solar system to generate enough power in terms of tax credits, renewable energy credits, and net metering. 3 terms you can probably find on John's channel. But the amount of time it takes for the solar system to generate enough of a return that it pays for itself. Depending on where you live, what the incentives are, how much your power company pays you back for electricity, this could be anywhere between, let's say, on the most optimistic end, 7 years to maybe 10, 15 years. So
right, and it's different in different states. Some states you could get a slightly shorter period. New Jersey, for example, has got fabulous incentives, and there are some systems here could give you a payback in 6 years.
Yeah.
And in Texas, you're looking at a longer time period. But there are a lot of states where solar, in terms of payback, returns you, you got your money back in the first few years. Then you have another 20, 25 years of income generation from your solar system. Right. So this is I think every single family homeowner in the US should have solar on their roofs, really.
I agree, but to make sure that customers understand their payback period, we educate everyone so deeply on what their solar system is going to do, what they can expect from it, and how long their payback period is going to be. Now, we usually estimate on the conservative side because we want people to be surprised that their payback period's sooner than they thought it would be.
Absolutely.
But we make sure that they understand all of the numbers, that they understand how to look at their system, how to monitor it, how to make sure that it's performing as it's supposed to, and that they're going to get the ROI they deserve for making this choice.
Super.
The cutest story we've heard is from one of our homeowners. He said that his 4-year-old granddaughter loves looking at his monitoring app because she loves the colors.
Nice.
So he's educating her about renewable energy and entertaining her.
Yeah, super. See, that's a really nice story. So as we bring our conversation with Aaron to an end, I'll circle back to what we started with, that what makes it worthwhile and how do companies in this industry sustain long-term growth and give you value for the years to come. So how is Exact Solar doing this, and how do you think solar companies should manage their business so that they are doing this over the long term and giving value back?
Yeah, it's a great question. The reason we've been around for 19 years is because we haven't tried to grow out of control. We haven't completely pushed the pedal to the metal. We haven't sold more than we can handle at any given time. We focus a lot on just maintaining what we can handle and not expanding too aggressively. And we've built some really beautiful systems, but more importantly to us is the fact that we've built a lot of trust in our community in the last 19 years.
Yes.
And yeah, we want this to be a brand that people can stand behind and that someone can look at and say, that's an easy choice.
For those few folks who may not know Exact Solar, a good place to go is their website, www.exactsolar.com. Doug, their CEO, is really doing service. He is well known here, and he hires smart people like Aaron. And this company is doing really, really well. It's been a pleasure having you today, Aaron. Thank you so much for making time, and I hope to see you again soon on my channel.
All right. Thank you very much, John. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.